y'all. Thank you for joining me for my really quick Teddy Bees chop and chat. My name is Stacy. I'm super excited because I'm going to be chopping up some of my Teddy Bees wax. This will post probably tomorrow, but it's actually the morning of the Teddy Bees pre-order, and I have a couple that, well, I think just one that I'm going to be chopping that's on my list. So I'm really excited to just get to chopping some of this Teddy Bees wax and take my mind off of the list. I don't know about you, but I find the list overwhelming, and thinking about sizes and all of that, it's a lot. So why not just enjoy some Teddy Bees? Now, this first one that I am going to be chopping is Salem, and this is on the list. It lists as Gala Apple, Fraser Fir, Figs, Mahogany, and Cedarwood. I have already melted this once, and on cold, I get a lot of apple. And on warm, I feel like the mahogany and cedarwood is the dominant note. Oh, it's so gorgeous. I love the glitter. It smells beautiful already. The last time I melted this, though, it was much, much newer. It was a newer pour. I am going to, if I remember correctly, this is a really good thrower, but I am just going to do the slightly larger pieces that I typically do, which is to make 16 pieces out of this souffle as opposed to making 20 pieces. I just found that typically in most of my warmers, I'm going to use 2 of these pieces that I'm making, but I will get at least 2 warming sessions out of this souffle, if not 3, and I'm excited about that. I loved this in my open concept the last time. So then I'm just going to come down here and I'm going to make 1, 2, 3 slices, which is going to give me 8 pieces on the top layer and 8 pieces on the bottom layer, which is 16 pieces. And I'll do that for most of these that I'm chopping. But for me, this is just a beautiful fragrance, and I don't consider myself a seasonal melter, but this one feels very, very fall to me. It's just this time of year into September, and well, really September. I feel like there's something very, very September about this scent, and I love it. So I'm excited to start melting that. This next fragrance that I'm going to be melting is an overpour. So a couple of runs ago, she had a little overpour lot that she included, and this is one of them that I snagged. It's Team Pumpkin, and I'm so excited for this. On cold, this is just beautiful. It lists as pumpkin pie, vanilla frosting, sugar, cookies, dipped with our sugar and spice. So yum, sounds good. I'm excited. Smells good. It's definitely an overpour, but that's not a problem to me. The glitter is a little less glittery than is typical, but the fragrance is really glorious. I am very excited for this one. The other thing that you might notice is all of these, except for one, are like June and July of 2023. So these are the ones that I have effectively kept myself away from for an entire year. This is the first time I've ever done that with my Teddy Bees. I still have been allowing myself to do like my typical process, which is to melt them pretty much as soon as I get them, and is, she tells you how many weeks after the pour date. I can't remember what that is, but typically I start melting right then. And there were just a couple that I decided sometime in the middle of the summer last year, largely due to watching Alexis, I decided I was going to take a percentage of my wax and try and cook it for a whole year. Not cook it, cure it. Oh my goodness. I am still not feeling well. I have been on quite the little cold adventure. 'Tis the season, I guess. And man, this one's been hanging on. This little, oh man, it popped out, but that's okay. And now I'm going to just put this back in the souffle and get it nice and tucked away back into its bag. I am going to be returning, I think, all of these to their souffles. Their tins are in good shape. It looks so cute. I am excited to have these and melt them. I don't believe any of these will go back to my storage because I think I'm going to get through them by October. But there is just something to me, if I can return it to the tin, that is really nice about keeping the wax not kind of rubbing up against each other and the top of the bag. This next one that I'm going to be melting, I'm excited for because this is the first one that I set aside to try and cure for the year. Yay me! And we are now past the year mark. It's the usual suspects. This list was scent notes of blackberry jam, shortbread cookies, toasted marshmallow, campfire, and sweet strawberry pound cake. So I have already melted a souffle of this when it was newer and I loved it. It was beautiful, and now we're going to see how it actually aged and whether I prefer it new or I prefer it aged. I'm excited about that. Now the glitter is glittering. This is a lovely one. Let me just get this popped out of the tin and get to chopping. Well, it smells so good. I do love it. It smells similar to me. It doesn't smell remarkably different to what it did a year ago. So it's going to be interesting. I'm really excited because I have quite a few that I have kind of stashed away on this curing adventure. I set some aside at the 6-month mark to try, and I set some aside for the year mark to try, or the year after mark to try. And it's just going to be a fun little experiment for me. I don't think I'm ever not going to be the person that wants to melt wax as soon as I get it and it's appropriate to melt it. Like, I do wait until the vendor says, like, oh, wait 4 weeks after the pour date, but that's about it. I got good performance out of this one. I will say, and I did the last time I chopped this, you can see I added an extra slice. So I got 20 pieces out of this one. I found that I was able to use less of this wax in each warmer to still get really great throw. So I'm excited to see if that holds true, if throw has gotten diminished, or has it gotten richer, creamier, smoother? Who knows? Those are my first 3 souffles. I have 3 souffles yet to chop, a total of 6 today that I'm going to chop. This next one that I'm grabbing, I actually have only melted like a singular quarter souffle of before, but I really liked it. I ended up swapping a friend of mine who does not love bakery, and she purchased this, and so I swapped with her to take this off of her hands because she really wasn't enjoying it. And I really liked the piece that I melted. This is sophisticated confectionery. It's creamy bourbon. Oh no, it's creamy butterscotch with oak barrel notes of bourbon, warm vanilla, sugar, and then it lists with fluffy vanilla frosting. You guys, I really enjoyed this when I melted the piece of it. You definitely do get the oak barrel bourbon. If you saw, it's beautiful though. If you saw my no video that Shijo put out, I was like, oh, I don't like boozy blends, and this would be one of those exceptions. This is not a boozy blend to me though, and I think it might be something about the fact that I do really care for like woods, and this does say it's like an oak barrel aged bourbon. I don't know yet. Oh, y'all, I'm very confused. Hold on. Oh, I'm still on the mend, not 100%, you guys. And so anyway, I really enjoyed this. I think it's very atmospheric. You do have to like sweet, you have to like butterscotch, but it's not even though it lists with warm vanilla sugar, I feel like the oak barrel bourbon gives this almost like, not in a bad way, but a perfumey vibe. It's not perfumey at all. It's atmospheric, but it's sophisticated. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yay. So I got 20 pieces out of this. I did find the time that I melted the piece, I got great throw, great longevity. I was actually able to have this going in my home for 2 days. I will say that most of the time what I get out of performance is somewhere between 6 and 12 hours out of my vendor wax. And with this, there was also like that sharp drop at the probably 12-hour mark, but there was like the remembrance of the scent the next day. And sometimes I like that as much or better than the first day. And that was the case with this one. So I am excited to pop this in and see how it has aged, because it's another one that I think is over a year. Now this next one is Witchy Woman, and this is one that I have had experience with in the past. It's warm flannel, blackberries, and boardwalk marshmallow clouds, and this is another one that, yay me, it is June of 2023, so I am now going to see, I'm going to be able to compare how I like it. Oh, it's beautiful. Again, this smells very consistent to me. I haven't noticed any difference in a lot of the fragrance. So far, the one that has changed the most for me is Spooky Encounters, which I know I talk about it a lot, but it is that was one that I really enjoyed when I first received it. But I feel like the blackberry note in Spooky Encounters really developed into something, for lack of a better word, magical in that blend. And I do think I prefer it aged over its initial pouring. Now this, let me just match these guys up. Can't talk and do two things at the same time. Um, so this is one to me that it is a bit perfumey. And I think kind of the name lets you know that, but it's not perfumey in a bad way. It's just elegant and beautiful. It's atmospheric. This is one that the last time I melted it, I am just going with the 16 pieces because I do think I need a little more in each warmer. But as I recall, I got right at 8 hours with this the last time, so I'm excited to see how it performs. For me, it's not a deal breaker for me if a scent performs well, if it performs just at the 6 hour mark with any brand. If the scent and the notes are good, um, for me, I'm not off put by a shorter duration. Of course, I prefer long and strong ones, but not a deal breaker if they don't last. Now, this one I had to double bag because I like She-Hulked this and I created a tear in the bag when I was first smelling it. This is Dapper Dawn, and Dapper Dawn is one of my very favorites from its pre-order. I don't think it was as popular with other folks, but it lists with Palo Santo, creamy cocoa, and sensual vanilla. And this is just such a gorgeous scent. I love it so much. Look at the glitter. It's glittering. I have like loaves and tubs and lots of this. And I did put aside quite a bit to kind of store just because I don't need it to change. I hope it doesn't change. I hope it stays the same. And if it does, I hope it changes to, just more of what it was. But for me, this is one of those funnier ones because I think it was Steph from Steph Loves Life that I was listening to when she was kind of going through it, and she was explaining that this was more of like a perfume or body care derivative of cocoa, like what you would get in a high-end cologne or perfume. And she was like, she said something about the fact that like your house is not going to smell like a Tootsie Roll with this. It's going to smell, and then she went into this beautiful thing. And I remember thinking, well, I would be happy either way. If my house smelled like a Tootsie Roll, I'm fine. And I'd also be happy if it came out more to what she described. And I can attest that she is correct. This is just very elegant. It's kind of, you definitely can tell that the cocoa is there, but it's one of those fragrances that people always comment on it when they come over and it's melting in a good way. People are like, oh my gosh, what is that? It's like you kind of can't put your finger on it, but it's delicious and welcoming and warm and beautiful. And I really love this fragrance. So I am super glad to be chopping up some more of it. I do melt it in bedrooms, and I also melt it in my whole house. I've done like a whole house melting day of this, and that was a glorious day. I really feel like chopping up this wax has been so great for getting my mind off the pre-order. I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so we can stay in touch if you enjoyed this. And also, if you're on a low buy or a no buy, don't count out the joy of chopping up what you've already got. This was really helpful to me. Let me know also, did you grab anything in the pre-order yesterday?